Known as one of the cleanest mic preamps of all time, this is the Grace Design M101. It's 80% nerdy stuff, and it's now upon you. So, good day and welcome to the Time Preservation Society. I'm Lieutenant Frank Drebin. In the early 90s in Boulder, Colorado, two brothers, Michael and Eben Grace, founded Grace Design as a boutique pro audio company. That was in 1994, which was Stargate and True Lies ago. There are a lot of differences that separate Grace Design from the competition, and I'll get to some of them soon, but one of the biggest is how the circuits inside work. Michael Grace believes musicality is of paramount importance, and that you shouldn't be able to hear the gear. Just the music or the voice work or any audio art you've made in its purest, fullest form. I'm not sure I agree with Michael for every application, but for some, totally. Let's go geeky for a couple of minutes. To achieve this goal of total pristine audio, all of the amplifiers in the critical gain stages use an amplifier topology called a current feedback amplifier, or transimpedance amp. These amps use a different sort of negative feedback, but not like, I think this sounds horrible and you should just quit working in audio kind of negative feedback, but rather negative feedback in the current territory as opposed to the voltage territory, like many others use. By using this different technology, the preamps are able to track really complex waveforms, resolve rich harmonic structures, and easily track even the quickest transients without the various aberrations of slew rate limiting and things that are associated with textbook op-amp designs. So, in non-geek but still nerd English, Grace's use of this tech gives their preamps complete transparency while remaining musical and totally accurate without sounding solid state. So, as I said, one of the cleanest preamps in the world without being in any way sterile, harsh, or clinical. There are so many other circuit design factors that add up to their world-famous preamps. Things like using only precision metal film resistors and employing not a single electrolytic capacitor anywhere in the signal path. The resulting product is the reason Disney uses Grace preamps in their recording studios. Since their first preamp designs, Grace has progressed into very complex hybrid analog-digital devices that are found in the biggest professional recording studios all over the world. But today, we're only looking at their single-channel half-rack M101 preamp. It's a straight analog preamp with no frills or bells or whistles, just pure, clean analog sound. On the back, it's got a single XLR mic input, followed by a balanced XLR output, and then a balanced quarter-inch TRS output, and then followed by an unbalanced quarter-inch TS output. By the way, all three outputs can be used simultaneously. That's incredible. The insanely quiet power supply is internal, so no need for a cumbersome wall wart. On the front, it sports a power button, a high-pass filter which rolls off the low end at 75 Hz with a 12 dB per octave slope. This filter is optimized for minimum phase shift, by the way. Next is the ribbon switch, which activates ribbon mic mode. This optimizes the signal path for non-active ribbon mics and blocks the phantom power to protect delicate mics. It's also great for dynamic mics. Next is the output trim dial, which controls your output signal from between 0 and plus 10 dB. And then there's the input gain knob, which has 12 steps in 5 dB increments for a total of 65 dB of total input gain. And lastly, you've got your high impedance instrument input, so a guitar or bass or something like that. The Grace M101 has a total of 75 dB of extraordinarily clean gain, which is more than you'll ever need to push any mic. It's also ultra quiet, like beyond quiet. The Grace Design M101 weighs about 1.1 kilograms or just under 2.5 pounds, I think. That's what I didn't weigh it. I read it. It measures. Oh, hold on a second. Let me find my trusty old measuring tape here. You know, this measuring tape was used by Andy Dufresne when he was measuring a hole he spent years chiseling away at in order to escape from a maximum security prison. He started working on that, I think, in 1947. I picked it up from a mysterious guy named Red on a beach in Mexico. That was back in 1966, I think. Anyway. It measures about 22 centimeters wide, 23 centimeters deep, and 4.5 centimeters high. It's half of a single-space rack. I've currently got it mounted in a tray in my rack box using half the space for the Grace and the other half for the Arturia AudioFuse X8N. It's also great on your desktop or under your interface or something. I'd like to point out that along with the musicality, some of the biggest objectives of Grace design gear is longevity and dependability. They want their preamps to work properly and flawlessly each and every time you use them without any exceptions. That's why, are you ready for this? The Grace Design M101 comes with a 20-year warranty. 20. 2 decades, 20 years. Have you ever heard of that? And you thought Rode was leading the way with their 10-year warranties. Pfft, child's play. Grace Design means business, and they stand behind their products like no one else. I've heard so many stories of how amazing Grace Design is at aftercare and standing by their warranties. It's no wonder that Disney and many other major studios use Grace preamps. So you've likely heard the Grace many times and never knew it, just the way Grace likes it. And you guessed it, I've been using the M101 throughout this entire video. I'm talking into the SE Electronics SE4400, which is a very clean transformerless mic, so you can get a feel for how clean this preamp is on spoken word. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. And now we've come to the price. You can own the Grace Design M101 right now for about $833 US. To some, an easy acquisition. To others, far too expensive. But just remember what you're getting for your money. Of course, if you need more than one preamp, you need not buy several M101s. You can get up to an 8-channel Grace M801 rack unit for $4,500. When I think of remarkably clean preamps, I think of 3 companies, Millennia, John Hardy, and Grace. And Grace tops them all, if you ask me. I've been using the M101 for about 5 months now. I've used it many times in my reviews, especially when I'm in the booth, so you can hear the actual sound of the mics without any preamp interfering. It's the cleanest sound ever. So when I'm testing out those mics, you know, you're hearing them as they should sound, as they're intended to sound without being colored. I also used it on several voiceover jobs, including the one I did for Loughton Audio's rim mount ad. So, do I recommend the Grace M101? 100%. Absolutely. If you can afford it, this is one preamp you won't ever regret. Sure, it's got no colorful character. It's transformerless and as clean as they come, and some might find that underwhelming. But capturing the cleanest possible signal that you can, and then putting it through any outboard gear for color or plugins or something, is a huge selling point. Or if you're into recording orchestras or many acoustic instruments in various genres, or certain, voiceovers or voice acting or high-end podcasting or even making films, you're not going to want the smeary, saturated gooiness of transformers anyway. You're looking for the cleanest possible signal you can, and this is what this is. And you're not going to find a cleaner, smoother preamp in the world. It's all about the tools you have at your disposal. The right tool for the right job, like anything else. So, that's my opinion. But what do I know? I'm just some guy.
He's just some guy.
Well, that'll just about do it for all of me here at the Time Preservation Society. They're going to blow that place sky high. It'll be a tragedy, unless it's during a dance number. Bye now. In transmission. Thank you very much. Watch these other videos as usual.